Welcome, class. So today we're going to be learning about how to add mixed numbers and fractions together. So we know that a mixed number means that we have wholes and we have fractions of wholes, and we're trying to put them together. So here we have, for example, 4 and 1/3, and we want to add this 1/3 piece to it. So I've drawn a little picture. We're not going to draw a lot of pictures today because I want you to start thinking with some mental math of how you would put this picture together in your mind. But I'm going to do a little bit of picture drawing just to help you get the gist of what we're trying to do in our head. So we have these 4 whole pieces. That's representing our full whole pieces. And we have this extra 1/3 piece. So we have 4 and 1/3 right here. And we want to add it. We want to add this extra 1/3 piece. And so I've represented it right here. So how are we going to combine these together? Well, we're probably going to need to take this one and we're going to have to probably move it over here so we can see how they are all together now. So we still have our 4 wholes, but now we've taken these two 1/3 pieces and we've combined them together to make 2/3. So our answer would be 4 and 2/3. All right, so now we're going to do another problem, and we're going to try to start to move into this mental math. And we're going to try 5 and 1/4 plus 2/4. So without the picture, we're going to picture we've got 5 whole over here, and we have 1/4, and we're trying to add it to our 2/4. Well, this is kind of like what we've been doing, right? 1/4 plus 2/4. If I add those two together, I'm going to have 3/4, and I still have my 5 there. So my answer is going to be 5 and 3/4. So you can kind of see how this is going to start to work. Okay, now sometimes on your problems you will have, for example, you might have 5/8 plus, they might write it backwards and have your whole number here, 6 and 3/8. And what would I come up with right there? Well, it's kind of like flip-flopped on this one. We know we're going to have 6 wholes, and if we put these two fractions together and add them together, we have 5 and 3, which is 8, and we have 8/8 there. So what does that kind of look like? Oh, we just made a whole, didn't we? So here's our whole. So now we're going to have to add this whole with our 6. So 6 plus one more whole is going to be 7. So our answer would be 7. All right, now sometimes they might say 4 and 7/8 plus something is going to equal 5. Now what are they trying to get us to think here? We've got to go from 4 and 7/8 and we've got to get to 5. So I am going to draw a little bit of a picture here. Here are the 4 wholes that we're talking about, right? And I'm not going to, they're all there, so I'm not going to cut them up into 8s for you. But I am going to draw this one and cut it into 8s. So here's my 8s one. And let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have 7 of them filled in. And remember, you're not going to draw pictures for me on this lesson. I want you to try to start doing this mentally, but for right now, I want you to see we're trying to add something to this number to make it be an even 5. So if I want to have 5 wholes, what do I have left to put in here to make that a whole? You can see right here in my picture that, and if you want to draw a picture, you can, but you can tell that I have one more of those little 8th pieces to fill in to make a whole. So my answer would be 1/8 because I already have 7/8. I need one more, kind of like we're bonding sideways, one more to make that 8/8 to make this a 1 whole to add with my 4 to get to that number 5. Okay, so if you see on your problem something like this, you can always draw a picture if you want to see, okay, what do I have left to make that a complete whole? Or you might be able to mentally look in your head, be able to mentally say, oh, I have 7 out of 8 pieces. It's going to take 1 more piece to make a whole. I know it's 1/8. Okay, so there's a lot of different strategies to add these together. I'm going to give you a couple of different strategies to use, and you can pick which one you like to do the best for your assignment. So we're going to kind of do the same problem in a couple of different ways. We're going to start with 4 and 4 6. And if you want to get a piece of paper and a pencil, go ahead and push pause really quick and go grab a piece of paper and pencil so you can try this with me. It'll really help you to understand it better if you're drawing it with me at the same time. So push pause, go get a pencil and paper, and then come back. All right, you ready? So we have 4 and 4 6 plus, and we're going to add a 5 6 to this. All right, so I can look at this and I can say, all right, I know that if I wanted to just add this 4 and 5 together, kind of like we've been doing before, and say 4 plus 5 is 9, and now I have 4 and 9 6, and now I can't leave this as an improper fraction, so I'm going to have to pull a whole out of it. So I'm going to pull 6 6 would be my whole, right, because my denominator is a 6, and I need 3 more to make 9. 6 plus 3 is 9, so my other bond over here is going to be 3 6. So now I can easily add this 1 whole that I just pulled out to my 4 and add those 2 together to make 5, and what's left over is 3 6. Okay. Now, another way that you could do that is, so I'm going to draw a line, but it's kind of like we're going to do a couple of different ways, okay? So I could have 4 and 4 6, and I'm wanting to add that 5 6 in there. So here's a different strategy. We're going to use the same problem, different strategy. So in this one, I could say, all right, I have 4 and 4 6. I'm trying to make this a whole. How many would I have to borrow from this guy over here that I'm adding together to make that a whole? So you could use it's kind of like a number bond in a way, but we can borrow something from here. How many would I have to borrow from here to make this a 6 6? Well, 4, 5, 6. I need 2. So I can break this 5 6 guy over here into 2 6. And then I have 3 of them left over. So it's kind of like in a number bond in a way, right? We're binding 2 and 3 together to make 5. But this one right here, I'm going to add those 2 together. So 4 plus 2 equals 6 6. And I'm going to give that 1 whole with my 4. So I'm going to say, all right, this is equal to 1. So I've got 1 plus 4. So now I'm going to have 5 wholes, and what was left over here was my 3 6. Okay, so that's another strategy that you could use. Okay, one more strategy is a strategy with using, I think they call it arrows, okay, an arrow strategy. So it's kind of like the same idea, but I'm starting with my 4 6, and when I get to the end, I want to get, let's see, hang on, 4 6. Oh, I'm adding my 5 6. So how many do I have to add to make this get to 5? So I put a little arrow, and I'm trying to get to 5, and I'm looking at here, and I'm saying, okay, I have 4 6, and I'm going to use how many more to get to 5 and make that a whole number? I'm going to use 2 of them. So I'm going to add 2/3 there. So it's kind of the same as this in that we're adding it like this. And now that's got us to 5. And how many do I have left over before I get to my 5/6 that I've added up? Well, I've used up 2/3. I have 3 more to go to use up or to add on those 5/6. So now I'm going to add another 3, sorry, that was 6, 2 6, and I'm going to add another 3 6 to it to get 5 and 3 6 as my final answer. So I'm getting the same answer each way. It's which way do you like? Okay, so there's no right or wrong way of doing this. And on your assignment, I'm going to let you choose. If it says something like, do it with this method, I'm going to let you choose which way your brain thinks, because that's the beauty of math, right? Is that we get to, there's lots of different strategies, and you get to pick the way that you like the most. Okay, so just to recap, you can just add them up straight across. 4 plus 5 is 9, and then pull out your wholes to get your 5 and 5/3. Or you can say, okay, how much is it going to take to make a whole out of this 4 6 and borrow it from what you're adding and break this part into 2 fractions that kind of bond up and say, okay, 4 and 2, that's going to make my whole there, and then I'm going to have 3 6 left over. Or you can start with 4 6 and say, okay, what's it going to take to make a whole out of this one? And I'm going to kind of borrow it from my 5 6 that I'm adding on, and I'm going to add on 2 6 and make it a 5, and then what I have left over is 5 and 3 6. Okay, so 3 different strategies, and that's going to help you to be able to pick the one that you like the most and run with it. All right. If you have any questions, you can always put a question mark and bring it to our Zoom lesson today. Thanks. Have a great day.